So the takeaway here today, listening to three very bright people in the industry, I agree. First of all, today cash is king. The reserve, your business skills, I would tell you, if they are not beefed up, you need to beef them up, because we will come out of this recession, but it's going to be a slow recovery, and things are going to need your focus. So I agree there. There are a couple of things I'd like to make suggestions about to you as designers, and I just give you a few points and takeaways. Aspenhome, when I joined them, was really a little company based out of Phoenix, Arizona, and very well known in a very tiny niche market of home office. And they had great functionality. They didn't have much of a brand image. Nobody knew who they were. But they whatever they did really, really great. And when I got the tap on the shoulder to come talk to them, I said, Aspen, who? Home office? Where? I don't think so. That's, it wasn't my ego. It was just not on my focus. But they pursued me enough to get interested and start to really look at things I have never looked at before. What they were trying was to expand and grow their business, and they had grown as far as they could. And they knew that they had to diversify their product, they had to move it up market, they knew that they had to become national, but they weren't really sure, and so they were looking for a marriage. And as I started to look into why I would even consider it, I found the following. I found something called the back end of their business. Everybody knows what the back end of the business is. In interior design, we rarely looked at the back end of who we were dealing with in terms of vendors. They had beautiful display, or they had pretty photography, but we didn't know really how deep their financials were and how suitable they were, or how long they were going to be around. And in the golden days when money was, fluent and flushing, you'd work with a small vendor and they made that perfect little piece. But today you have to be a smarter designer, and you have to do your homework who you're putting your deposits with, because today cash is king and credit lines are very tight, as you well know. And so they started to talk to me about their back end of the business and how the business was on the business side of it. And while I had a pretty good business knowledge, I'm telling you, I got the PhD in about 2 years. And so we look at today, I joined the company 4 years ago. We've grown it in double digits for 4 years in a row, and in 2008, we are still up and growing. However, as everyone here has already said, we already started adjusting about how we were going to use our dollars, where we were going to make our cuts. But there are there's several areas we haven't cut. One is in product development, because our timelines are very long, our lead times are long, and we need to continue to develop for the recovery. We've also have not given up in our development of our brand image, our photography, our what we call beauty shot inspirational materials that help market our product to our consumers. We have not given up on our public relations image and trying to reach out to a broader audience than this company has in the past. So we're investing in the future right now, and my general regards to you is that. And then the only other thing I would say, as a manufacturer at the mid-market level, this company, up until 4 years ago, didn't have anything in their line that you guys would even be interested in buying if we gave it to you, because it was all very functional but kind of boring. Well made, but unknown. We don't particularly target the interior design trade at this moment, but we've moved the product so far up market, and we have passed not only our competition, but the much higher level. We are compared with companies that 4 years ago was only a fantasy for most of the executives in the company, and now we're compared as one of the top 25. We were Supplier of the Year by the industry. We'll be the recipient of City of Hope for this year. I'm the national president of City of Hope, so it's kind of a special thing to get everybody in the industry involved. But we're looking forward to a time where we know we have to diversify our distribution further and segment that. And we're all about functionality and multifunctional furniture that I'm saying to you as interior designers, today the consumer who is not on an unlimited budget is going to need to have you as more practical maybe than you might have had the luxury a couple of years ago, where you might be able to show them added value in the pieces you're selecting, where you're able to add to them a way of justifying the investment in those purchases. And then the other thing for you to look at right now is more and more domestic manufacturers, in order to differentiate themselves from the importers. Importers cannot customize. But the better manufacturers who are domestic can do mass customization, offering a variety of finishes or fabrics or hardware changes. And they will give you entry level beyond the very high-end custom furniture. So you need to look for more and more of those. Okay.
Good. Very good. Thank you, Jena. I'm going to ask you, Jena, I didn't see a lot of heads nodding in agreement with you when you were talking about the back end of business. And I think you should take a moment just to talk about, for interior designers, particularly since that's the majority of the audience, your thoughts on what you think they should pay attention to this year.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
The back end, of course, for a furniture importer will definitely be different than if you are dealing with a designer showroom or a custom workshop. But it's really very similar. Number one, first and foremost, is, how profitable are they? How is their credit rating? Do they have a credit rating? How clean is their workshop? How clean is their workshop? How organized or chaotic are they? Because under stress and under bad business conditions, the more chaotic the business, and a lot of creative back shops are, the less likely it is that you're going to get it through when they're under crisis and stress, because they maybe are having a harder time meeting their own debt. That's part of it. In customization, what is their delivery system? Are they using, I'll give you a quick example. I had a client, it was a fantastic estate we had renovated. It was a Vanderbilt estate in Sands Point, and about 6 years, they were after the first installation. They'd called and they were ready to kind of refurbish, and by then I was pretty well winding down my private practice, and no, they insisted, you got to do it, you got to do it. So we reupholstered certain things, made some other purchases, and I used one of my old vendors because it was comfortable and I wasn't really as focused on that end of the business. Well, this gorgeous, custom finished, silk sofa shows up with 6 black handprints right on the frame. And of course, needless to say, an assistant of mine was there on the job when it was installed, but the client went crazy, she went crazy, I went crazy, and I called my old vendor, and he said, I don't understand it. I said, back to my assistant, how did it come onto the site? Did it come wrapped? Did the guy have gloves on? What went on? Well, he hired some guy off the street to deliver it because he'd cut back on his trucks, and the next thing was, so his delivery system really wasn't as pristine as your product. So, not to go into the back end of the import business, which is really complicated, really complicated. How well financed are your vendors? How well is the installation? Where is the liability today? How is the liability insurance today? Can you collect the liability insurance if there's damage? You have to really look at that, because one screw up can really be disastrous right now.